Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here, and back again with yet another new deck profile for you all. Now, I know I've been on a little hiatus as of lately. I haven't been uploading as much, so really sorry about that, guys. Just really busy, of course, with just personal life itself, mainly work, school, and of course, you know, yeah. So I'm taking a little break from Destiny, but yeah, of course, I've been doing a lot of testing with a lot of new decks coming from set 15, and just recently I participated in the DMV Dynasty Cup, which is just a, like I guess you could say, a championship series that was thought of and put together by one of my good buddies, Juan Mango. Shout out to him, of course, for putting that together, and my other good friend Isaac, aka Firefox. So like I said, it's kind of like a championship series that we're trying to start. Mainly for our locals, because if you guys don't know, DMV stands for DC, Maryland, Virginia, so all the players in that area, you know, we try to put together like a little championship event for annually, you know, for all the players in our area, because of course that is, I mean, DMV is where I reside in. So just recently we just had our first tournament, and I actually just played my Monarch, Liberator Monarch deck, and I was actually able to finish in first place. So yeah, I'm really happy with how the deck's been turning out. Happy the results that of course it brought me, and just I really love this deck a lot more. Just Liberators in general, I felt got a huge boost from set 15, not only in the form of a just a fantastic boss unit, but now, I mean, one of their I guess, frontman of the deck, Blastboy Liberator, he becomes a much more playable card in the deck, which is something I was really looking forward to. So yeah, the deck is really good, really powerful, and just really fun to play. It's definitely, right now it's like one of my favorite decks to play post set 15. So yeah, guys, in terms of the tournament that I played with this deck that I mentioned, I may have like a tournament report for it, just talking about my tournament experience and such, so definitely check out the description down below for a link once I get that up. So yeah, without further ado, let's actually get to it. Alright, of course, to start things off with our starter, we have our Yearning Liberator Aram. Just a fantastic starter for this particular deck. So what he does is put him in the soul. If you have a grade 3 or a greater Liberator Vanguard, you put him in the soul, and you can search your deck for a Blastboy Liberator, and then you put it on the top of your deck. So it's very important just to, of course, get that Blastboy Liberator handy, so that you can essentially enable some important combo plays, mainly, of course, around your center boss, Monarch Alfred. So that, just like I said in the beginning of the video, like, I'm just really happy to see that Blastboy Liberator is finally playing a key role in Liberators. So yeah, definitely a really good starter for the deck. Now, moving on to grade 3s, of course we have our 4 Liberator Monarch Alfred. Now, I can tell you, like, a lot of the combo plays you can really go for in this deck in combination with Monarch can almost be super busted at times. There's just a few times in the tournament where I was able to pull off like a massive amount of damage in one single attack. Two turns in a row, where my opponent didn't even have multiple perfect guards in hand. Through the course of those 2 turns, I was able to like finish a few games doing that. And like I said, I mean, the combos with this deck in general around the Monarch can definitely be pretty insane with the right setup. So talking about Monarch, so what he does is, first he has 2, I guess you could say, Limit Break effects. So the first one is Limit Break 4. You Counter Blast 3, Soul Blast 2, and you take all of your rear guards and locked cards, that includes Omega lock cards, and put them on the top of your deck, and take the top 5 cards of your deck and call up to 5 Liberators from them onto your field. So essentially it allows you to rearrange your field, which is nice to maybe assemble better columns, but most importantly it allows you to unlock your field. So yeah, this is like an instant like smack to the face to just any Link Joker deck. So so that's one nice perk with it. And then next, he actually has an Ultimate Break 5, which is kind of unusual for a card to have a Limit Break 4 and Ultimate Break 5, but the Ultimate Break 5, what it is while you're at 5 damage, if you Superior Call a Blastboy Liberator from your deck, he gains +10 in a critical. Now, when I first read that, I thought that was a little mediocre, because obviously, you know, your opponent can just perfect guard you and, you know, and such. So I kind of passed off that skill, but once I've actually seen it in action and got to use it myself, you know, that Limit Break 5 can be very devastating for your opponent. Now, here's pretty much why. So essentially with Liberators, with this particular deck, it really rewards you for taking a lot of damage early on. And usually how I played with this deck is I didn't mind to take a lot of damage early. There was even times where in situations where I normally would guard as my usual strategy, you know, guard early, guard like cheap early attacks to conserve damage, I kind of just let myself go to 5 because I'm gonna be able to conserve my hand anyway, but it allows me to make plays at my opponent as quick as possible. And like I said, those extra crits that can potentially stack up can be very devastating for your opponent, especially if you're able to pull it off multiple times. So essentially, one thing that people don't realize is if you actually superior call, let's say, you know, 2 Blaster Blade Liberators from your deck, it actually stacks. So he'll gain +10 to crit for each one. So that's something that I know a lot of my opponents didn't even realize. It definitely caught a lot of players off guard for that. So that was one insane combo I was able to do. So at the end of the video, once I get done with the deck profile, I'll actually show you guys the right setup to do just that. So yeah, definitely got to run 4 of those. Then next, of course, you have your 3 Ganslot Zenith. So what I like about Zenith is, of course, I mean, he's still one of the best cards in Liberators. Just being a great finisher for yourself. Like, let's say maybe you just run out of Counterblast to pay for Counterblast or Soul to pay for Monarch. Zenith is just still an amazing finisher for the deck. Now I am still playing the one Alfred. I initially didn't even play Alfred in the deck, and actually in the tournament I even played 2 Zenith and 2 Alfred, but I just like the Zenith a lot better, just because he spreads out the power a lot better compared to Alfred. Now what I do like about Alfred is that ideally with Monarch, if you want to get his skill off multiple times in a game, particularly twice, you do need 4 cards in the Soul, but if you count your starter, your grade 1, grade 2, you only have 3 cards in Soul. So Alfred is not a bad card to, you know, ride first before you ride Monarch, and the special Counterblast he has to superior call top deck, the top card of your deck, essentially allows you to replace himself to replace himself with a free card in the field. So I guess it's kind of like an inherent +1 in a sense. And then of course you can just reride Monarch, and then you'll get the 4 Soul you need to be able to pull off his skill twice. So that's one thing I like with the Alfred. And you know, there's times where I use up all my Counterblasts and he's just a big strong center, but that's the main reason why I like the Alfred in the deck. So yeah, he worked out pretty good. And then next up for grade 2s, we have your 4 Blast Blade Liberators. So like I said, really glad and happy to see that he's finally playable in this deck, and really all your combos revolve around him, which, like I said, in the end of the video, I'll actually show you guys a few setups to go for. Then of course you have your 4 Fallon. Fallon's still just a very good consistent power card. 12k attacker is always essential in just about any sub-clan deck. Being able to maybe go first, being able to attack a 7k Vanguard by itself, unboosted is still essential, and being able to beat up a 9k Vanguard the following turn by boosting it for 7 to hit for 19 is still really good. So still hit some pretty powerful numbers in the early game, and 12k attacker is obviously just always good. And then you have 3 Star Rain. So it's a new card, of course, introduced for Liberators in set 15 that revolves around Blaster Blade. So what she, at least I'm hoping she's a she, what she does is when it's placed on Rearguard Circle, you shuffle a Blaster Blade Liberator from the drop zone or the Soul. You take a Blaster Blade Liberator, excuse me, from the Soul or the drop zone, and you put it in the top of your deck, shuffle your deck, and then you top deck. So it just allows you to kind of get some nice free +1, and then most importantly gets you a way to shuffle back your Blaster Blade Liberators into your deck, maybe to even set up your starter if you hadn't used it yet. So it's pretty nice. So what I like is if I can help it, you know, I'll try to use BBL's skill. I'll probably like call a Blaster Blade Liberator, maybe retire a unit, and then I'll have like another grade 2 out. So my opponent usually will just attack the Blaster Blade Liberator, and then I can intercept with the other grade 2, and then it allows me just to call Star Rain, and then I can just get another free superior call. So that's pretty nice. So it's a nice little +1, and it's another good recovery option for yourself too as well. So yeah, definitely very solid card. So yeah, that's it for grade 2s. And then for grade 1s, you have your 4 Perfect Guards. I did try Quintet Walls in here, and while it was good in a lot of situations, just the fact is that this deck is really pressed on its Counterblast. I just didn't like the idea of the Quintet Wall sometimes clogging my abilities to use some of my skills because I was worried about the Counterblast cost. So I think the 4 Perfect Guards is a lot more consistent more consistent and reliable for this particular deck. And then next you have pretty much like the MVP of the deck, next to Blastoise Liberator, for Balan. So of course, you know, Revengers, Blastoise Revenger gets a Doranth. Well, Liberators do, but arguably you could say this is a lot better for this particular reason. So obviously what he does is while he's on the rear guard, whenever you call a Blastoise Liberator on the field, you unflip a damage. Now the difference between him and Doranth is that he doesn't have to be same column. He can be anywhere. It could be like right next to him or anywhere. So it's pretty crazy. And of course, you ideally want to have maybe 2 of them on the field when you go off with Monarch, because essentially if you're able to, you know, use Monarch's skill and have 2 of them on the field, because if you call one Blastoise Liberator, it allows you to unflip 2 with just 1 BBL. So it just allows you just to, you know, be very efficient with your counter blasting, of course, and just allow more continuation of your plays for the following turns. So just a very strong card, and obviously if you have 2 in the field, it's pretty nuts, because you can just, you know, essentially get a free kill when you call a Blastoise Liberator with this many on the field. So just very amazing card for this deck. And then of course another amazing card for this deck is your 4 Bruno. So of course just your +3 whenever you superior call from your deck. So he does combo amazingly well with Monarch again, just for the main reason that when you use Monarch's skill, let's say we have 1 Bruno, just for examples. So let's say we have 1 Bruno already on the field. So let's say we go ahead and use Monarch's skill, and I'm just gonna simulate a field. It's gonna look a little sloppy, so forgive me. Let's just do this, whatever. So we're gonna go ahead and just superior call. So we're gonna say we superior call 3 Brunos and 2 beaters. So here's pretty much the ruling that I confirmed, which I didn't believe at first, but I can't believe that this can work. But hey, you know, whatever. It's in my favor, I guess, since I'm playing the deck. So the way it works is Bruno gains +3 for every other unit that gets called from the deck. Now the way Monarch works when it comes to superior call the top 5 cards from your deck is that they're all called at the same time. So Bruno does indeed get the power boost from the other 4 units that get called at the same time as him. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. So that way, if you just call 5, each of these Brunos right here get plus 12,000 power, which is pretty nuts. So you're talking about numbers of potentially, you know, 30 with the 12k attacker, like your Fallon. You know, you're talking about 31, 28, being able to hit cross-ride numbers, which is nice. So it's pretty nice. And obviously combining with Monarch, you know, obviously calling a BBL at 5 damage, just creating a much stronger center and strong columns. I mean, being able to do this 2 turns in a row can be very devastating for your opponent, like I said, for how efficient this deck can be with paying for the cost of its cards. So like I said, this deck can be pretty nuts with the right setup. Alright, and then the last of the grade 1s, of course, we have our 2 Zoran. I guess you could say this is like the tech card of the deck and such, but I think it's a must to play in the deck. So what Zoran does is, whenever it's superior called from the deck onto your field, you put them in Soul, and you check the top 3 cards of your deck, and search for 1 Liberator among them, and call it onto your field in a rearguard circle in a standing position, and then you put the rest on the bottom of your deck. So what I like about Zoran, of course, is most importantly, he goes into the Soul. So just like I explained with Monarch, sorry guys, if I can find one. So let's say, for instance, if you're forced to ride Monarch first, just like I said, in terms of Soul count, your starter goes into Soul, you have your grade 1 and grade 2, that's only 3 cards in Soul, so, and Monarch does use Soul Blast 2 to pay for his cost. So essentially, if you want to at least use this skill twice in the game, you need to get that you have to get that 4th Soul in there. So, I mean, to do that, you have to either ride another Monarch, ride another grade 3 beforehand, or maybe put like a Flame of Victory, that critical trigger, into the Soul. But Zoran's just another card that can let you get into that Soul, but he allows you to continue combinations too with your cards. So either you can, I mean, there's a few times where, you know, I was able to spike another Blastoise Liberator by this, and then of course it pumps up Monarch even more, so I was able to like slam my opponent even harder than what he was getting slammed for. And it allows you to, of course, even continue to pump up your Bruno. So I mean, if you're able to maybe do Zoran on top of, if you're able to like Zoran on top of having the Bruno on the field, it allows this column to be like 31 as opposed to 28, so it can obviously just allow you to continue your plays even further. So, but most importantly, just like I said, the fact he goes into Soul, makes them very essential for the deck. And so that's pretty much it there. And then of course for the triggers, it's pretty simple. You have your 8 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal. Not much more special there. Now, the critical trigger that you should be playing though, as you see I'm not playing right now, is Flame of Victory, which is just the generic gold paladin trigger that allows you to put in soul and give a unit +3. The reason why I don't have him in this deck is because, well, simply put, I just could not get a hold of any. And you know, me and my friends, we have our collection of commons we have put together, but I guess we got cleaned out of the Flame of Victories. And I had a friend of mine who actually had a playset for me, but I can't seem to find where I put them. So I ended up just playing with these, which, you know, it worked out okay. You know, still 5k, still another card I can Superior Call, but yeah, you really do want to play that Flame of Victory in here, like maybe cutting like, you know, two of each and then just running 4. So yeah, it's pretty basic. So yeah, so that's pretty much the deck for you guys. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward build, but it's definitely a lot of fun to play, and a lot of the combos that you can pull off is fun. So just like I said, before I let you guys go, let me go ahead and just demonstrate a few setups that you want to go for this deck. Alright guys, so when it comes to the plays or the combos you're doing with Monarch for this deck, it's pretty straightforward. You just got to be very mindful on what kind of field setup you're going for. No, excuse me. So we're just going to assume that we're at 5 damage and such. So we have these cards on our field. Or actually, let's pretend. Let's do this. So we're getting ready to just go off with our combo. So this is just the setup we have. So we're going to go ahead and first use the starter skill and put a BBL from our deck to the top of the deck. And then we're just going to pay the cost of, let's just say, Counterblast 3, Soul Blast 2, which, let's pretend I paid that. And then you take these 3 and put it in the top of your deck. And you just pick them back up and you check another. And then you just pick up 5 cards and then you just start calling them on your field as long as they're Liberators. So ideally, usually I go for something like this here, where you just go BBL and you could go Zoran. So you could just go with something like this here. So what's pretty nuts is, now that you called it all, so you can just start, now these are all called at the same time, just like how Blasted Dark Avenger and Doranth work. You choose the order of how you resolve. So obviously, of course, you just use the 2 Balans skill to unflip a damage, unflip another, and then you use Blast Blade Liberator skill to maybe even Counterblast 2 and kill a front row if you want to. And then you can use Zoran's skill at this point, because he was actually the wild card we kind of picked up. And we're just going to check the top 3, and let's just say that we're just a bunch of professional Saki players, and we're just going to spike another BBL. So we're just going to get another BBL, and then again, same combos goes, Balan unflips, or Balan or Balan unflips, and then you can just use a skill, then you'd be able to pay for a skill again. So essentially you just knocked out your front row, the whole entire front row of your opponent. Monarch was able to get +20, +2 crit, and then Bruno was able to pump up to make this column 31. So definitely it's an amazing late game push. And then of course, you know, once the play is done and your opponent happens to survive, you know, most likely you'll probably knock out your front row. If you can help it, you could try and save one Liberator if you can. So let's say we just do that, and then, you know, the following turn we just do the same thing. You know, we just pay the cost, Superior Call. Doesn't even matter what we call, it's just, you know, whatever. And then we just start going with the plays again. So essentially, you know, by having two columns, mainly your Vanguard and your Rearguard column boosted with the Bruno to hit for a really high number, it's really tough for your opponent to really overcome that, especially around the later stage of the game, dealing with that for 2 turns in a row, because pretty much that requires your opponent to have essentially multiple Perfect Guards or Sentinel cards in their hand for each turn. So basically, if they don't have 4 Perfect Guards through the course of these 2 turns that you're able to pull this off, it's going to be really tough for your opponent to guard against this. So I give a lot of credit to this combination right here to a lot of my wins. There were times, like I said, I was grade locked. So, you know, I just let myself go straight to 5, and I was able to pick up a Blaster Blade in my hand, and I used the starter for a search for another one, so I was able to just drop 2 and then just push my opponent. So yeah, ideally you want to get 2 Balan if you can help it. That way you can just get some free unflips, but as an alternative, you can just go with like double Bruno. So if you can at least get 1 Bruno to make a powerful rearguard column, that'll be nice, but ideally you want to get like 2 Balan. But hey, if you get 2 double Bruno, then that's 2 big rearguard columns. So yeah, guys, like I said, the combo is pretty simple, but it's a lot of fun to do. And like I said, you know, definitely with the support this post set 15 for Liberators finally got the support they've been really wanting for quite some time to definitely make them one of the, I personally think, the best deck coming on set 15. So yeah, there you have it, guys. That goes my deck profile for you all. As always, leave a comment down below with what you think, any questions and such. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Well, yeah, and that, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys later.